Jesus, the owner of my life. With you, all things are made possible. Oh, Jesus, hallelujah. If you do nothing else for me, you have done enough. Oh, Mema, oh, Mema, oh, Mema, oh, Mema. Oh, Mema, oh, Mema, you have done enough. Oh, Mema, oh, Mema, oh, Mema, oh, Mema, oh, Mema, oh, Mema, you have done enough. Oh, Mema, Jesus, oh, Mema, Jesus, oh, Mema, this your mercy, this your grace, oh. This your love, oh, this your goodness. Your finished to work on Calvary. How you love me so. If you do nothing else for me, you have done enough. Oh. If you do nothing else for me, you have done enough. Oh, Mema, oh, Mema, oh, Mema, oh, Mema, oh, Mema, oh, Mema, you have done enough. Oh, Mema, oh, Mema, oh, Mema.
Welcome to the Hour of Restoration, coming your way live each and every Saturday and each and every week with a new topic. The topic we are handling these couple of weeks is called Christianity, the religion of violence and control. We started with the topic of... Which topic did we start with? We started with... last week, we touched slavery. And the week before that, we also touched, I believe, the Crusaders. We looked at what is the definition or what is the biblical meaning or the historical background of the word crusade. When you listen to the word crusade, you think about a very big conference with signs and wonders. But what does a crusade actually mean? And last week, we touched slavery. We looked at different periods of slavery and also how it impacted us, or it impacts us until today. And today we'll also look at another topic called manipulations. I will try to look once again at another angle, or we'll try to study Christianity from another angle. So tell a friend to tune in. In a short 5 minutes, we'll get straight into the table talk session that we have for today. Tell a friend to tune in live on YouTube or on Facebook.
In all things, I will give you praise. Hey, in all things, I will shout for joy. In all things, my heart will rejoice in you, Jesus. For you are working, always working in my favor. In all things, I will give
welcome to the Hour of Restoration, coming your way live each and every Saturday with a new topic. We have been touching the topic called Christianity, the religion of violence and control. It might seem a bit controversial, and to many it is controversial, but we are simply trying to understand the religion of Christianity for what it is and not what we have been made, or what people has ascribed, or let's say how people have described it to be. So that's why we always try to look back and see the origin, or try to study the origin of a religion, of the religion in which many of us have been born in, so that we may know why things are the way they are, why we believe things to be the way we believe them to be. And I think also one of the most important things, why do Black people, or why do our African brothers and sisters believe this to be the way it is? So I have two sisters with me here today. We'll first start with a table talk session, and then we'll get straight into the teaching of today. Stay tuned. So, Sister Helena, Sister Brittany, how are you guys faring today?
Fine, I'm doing fine.
Yeah.
I left.
You guys are doing fine?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Doesn't believe it. How are you doing?
Now you guys are calm. So so that's why I'm asking. I'm doing fine, feeling good. Week has been well, work is going good, other stuff also going okay. So I have nothing to complain about. On your side?
Yeah, good as well. I guess I just started a new job, so it's a lot of information coming my way. But next to work, I guess it's just my daily routine. So I'm home a lot. I try to fill my time with reading or things that I often do not get time for. So it's just work, home.
Cool. Elena?
Yeah, I started a new internship. So I'm
Internship
tired.
is killing you, huh?
Yeah. But I'm alright.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So last week we touched the topic of slavery. It's a topic that we have touched a couple of times, and it seems we seem to revisit it a lot. The topic of slavery, if it's not directly a theme, it usually comes back in the teaching or in the preaching. And do you think that it is that relevant? To start with, Brittany, do you think that it's that relevant that it has to be spoken of this much?
Yes, I do believe it's relevant. Why? Because we tend to forget as a people. Even when you look at scriptures, when Elohim speaks to his people, he often says that we should not forget and that we should continue to remember. And the moment that we err is when we forget his ways and his laws. And I guess it's the same for us still when it comes to slavery, because that's literally the wiping out of our history. And now that more people are getting to know the truth, it's something that we have to continuously tell people around us, tell maybe our future children, and so on, so that they may remember where they came from, where their roots are. So without the continuous repetition of the message or of the stories, you tend to forget.
And okay, we tend to forget. That's true. Like a lot of the things that happen to, for example, our parents, even if it happened to our parents, it didn't happen to us, so we don't, usually the children don't really care about what happened, so let alone something that happened according to the minds of many such a long time ago, like slavery, according to many. But Helena, do you think that this information which we are sharing, this teaching, do you think that it still impacts us until today?
Yeah.
And how do you think that it impacts us?
I think it impacts us on the way we view things. So the way we view, like when it comes to white people, the way we can like praise them, because it's really like het is echt in ons gezet. Like it's really put in us that everything that is white is good. And also like last week when we talk about Queen Elizabeth, how black people were reacting. So yeah, it has a lot of impact on it. Also on choices that we make, and also how we think about ourselves as a nation, as black people. We always down talk ourselves that we are not worth it, and so slavery has done a lot of damage.
Wow. Also how we look at ourselves, and why do you think that there are so many people who don't want to talk about this topic, or they don't see the relevance of this topic? Because I was listening to a guy this week, a Christian young man, and he says like, I don't talk about slavery and colonial things and stuff like that. You know, like as long as you have the faith, it's okay, you don't need to talk about it. But why do you guys think that so many people have this view on slavery, on such a important piece of history?
I guess it's a combination sometimes of for our people, maybe a combination of shame, because you don't really want to admit, it's hard to admit that your ancestors went through these things. It's also not something to be proud of or to be happy about. So I guess for people, when something is difficult, they try to erase it or put it in the back of their minds. And I guess for the whites, for them, well, I do believe there's of course an agenda behind it, but for them it's like, that were my ancestors who did that. I'm not responsible for that. I don't treat black people like that nowadays. But still, as we look at society or just the world in general, whiteness is still the benchmark that like African countries or black people have to kind of reach. And nobody really asks the question, why should we live up to a standard of whiteness instead of live up to our own standards? So I guess it's a combination of both factors.
And a combination of both factors. And I can understand that when you look at it from a global perspective, you see that what the European says, or what the Caucasian says, is kind of the law. But is that also the reason why many young people like you and I decide not to do research on this topic?
I think that's also a matter of ignorance. A lot of people just don't know, but a lot of people also, as I said, don't want to know. Instead, if they would do the research, they would find out that our story does not begin with slavery. Like there's such a rich culture and so many kingdoms. We were rulers, kings, queens, but we don't do that. I guess we have become comfortable with how the world is in a way. So that's what I think.
And Helena, you said that it impacts us in the way that we view things, we view ourselves in particular. And do you have an example of how slavery, or what we are discussing now, or how that standard once impacted you? Do you remember how it made you, for example, prefer a European standard or something which is not yours? When I talk about your color, your culture and stuff like that. You understand what I'm asking?
Yeah. So like how it impacted me.
Yeah, because you said it impacts us on the way we look at stuff, but how did it impact you?
I think I think my hair.
Your hair.
Yeah, my hair. I always wat zeg ik vroeger? Ja, vroeger back in the days. I was always like braiding my hair because I didn't know like what to do with my hair, and my mother decided to like straighten my hair, and that's also something that came out of slavery, like us not accepting our hair. Our hair is too how do you say it, difficult to handle, so we need to straighten it like like a white woman, you know. But my hair wasn't like, my moeder was putting it straight, but it wasn't working. So it was still like tie, om het even zo te zeggen. So then my mother started braiding. So I was so attached to the braiding that whenever I just get out of the braid, the next day I would just go and braid my hair. I would not let my hair just be for what it is, because that's something I grew up with. Like your hair is difficult to handle, so just putting braids or weave or something. So I think that is one of the things that
wow. And but how do you get yourself to the point where you start to embrace who you are?
I would take the hair for example again. So then I noticed that I think I was a year 15, 16, that my sister, she was starting to embrace her own hair. So I was like, okay, maybe I can also like try and see what I can do with my own hair, because it was growing, but because I was not really paying attention on it, I was like, okay, I can do nothing else with my hair. So then slowly I was like watching my sister, how she was doing with her hair, and also like asking if she can like also do something with my own hair. So then slowly it was like was getting there. But I think also like also seeing other images of Black women also helps, because like now it's getting more on Google. When you Google, you can see, but back in the days, if you Google Black, you always see straight or braids. Natural hair wasn't really the thing. It's now really coming out, so that's also good to see. So like women encouraging each other to embrace their own hair, so that also helps. That also helps a lot.
And like when this is a bit off topic because you guys are talking about hair. No, but when like a lot of young women and women in general, like when we see our own women, my sisters, my mother, using everything except their own hair and their own natural look to kind of make themselves beautiful according to themselves, they always say that it's like for them, it's not related to anything in regards to slavery, colonialism, and in this topic you are linking it to each other. But why do you think then, Brittany, that so many females in particular link it to something else? They don't see the connection between how they clothe themselves and how they prefer straight hair, like a Caucasian woman, above their own hair, right? Why do you think that they do not see that connection between what has happened in the past and what they're doing today? Or is there no connection?
Well, there is a connection, as the sister said. I think it's an idea that has penetrated their mind so deeply that they don't even realize what they're doing is based off remarks or things coming out of slavery. And then you live in a world which continuously from whilst you're young is continuously telling you how you should look, what beauty is, and that may be straight hair, that may be whatnot, a slim nose, because people also would put on makeup to have a slimmer nose, for example. So so they contour this, they make it darker so that it looks like you have like a small nose bridge instead of like a wider nose. So they're so it's like an idea that they can't get rid of. And what I find so sad is that they often blame it on, oh no, it's just for myself, I just really want to look pretty and stuff. But even in that, you're already admitting pretty, looking pretty for you is having straight hair, having someone else's hair on your head, changing your face and your features to the extent that you don't even look like your own race or your ethnicity. So I'm not sure if you've asked them why they do that, what their answer
how
was.
can you ask your own sisters these questions?
You
bro?
can
Huh?
ask,
How can
you
your
can
sisters
ask them,
these questions?
ask them, as you all have to use their insights and then counter them. But that is actually really what is happening. But yeah.
And I think that this is also why such topics are so relevant, because knowing my own sisters, for example, I know that like, let's say they haven't taken the time to study the history of their own people. So they are not really aware of what happened or why not only themselves but all people that look like them behave the way they do. So that's why I also think that for a lot of people, as you said, they don't know why they prefer what they prefer or why they behave the way they behave. For them it's just normal. But this is why this topic is, or such topics are so important, because once you realize what happened and why your people behave the way they do, you will also understand why you yourself behave the way you do and why you like the things you like. So back to the topic. Last week we touched slavery, and the minister played some really interesting slides, or he showed some really interesting slides, and one of the quotes that were on the slides was from Frederick Douglass, a really important man in African American history. He says this, like, between the Christianity of this land, talking about America and the West, and the Christianity of the Messiah, I recognize the widest possible difference, so wide that to receive the one as good, pure, and holy is of necessity to reject the other as bad, corrupt, and wicked. So he's simply saying that the Christianity which was happening in the Bible, or let's say the religion that they kept in the Bible, and the religion which the people came, the Europeans brought to Africa and to the Americas, is so different from each other that if you accept the religion that we accept today, the Christianity that we go to church with, if you accept that, then you can never also accept the same religion and the same faith that they were holding in the days of the Messiah and in the days of the apostles and the days of the children of Israel. Do you agree with that? Can you see why he would make such a statement? Is it really so that the religion, the Christianity that we hold today, is really different from the religion of the Messiah and of the people that we read in the Bible?
Yes, of course. If you only already look at what is happening in churches nowadays, it's not what
Give
what
an
you
example,
see in
like
scriptures.
what do you mean?
I always have to think of the clip that one of our brothers shows before he starts his message. It's like you see different clips of what they do in black churches or African churches, but it was brought to them by the missionaries and how we do it right now. And you just see the craziest things. You see the falling and the rolling and the screaming and the prophesying based on like where you live and stuff. Like, what is the added value of knowing where you live? So I what I see is that
you in Amsterdam.
So for me, our people already like had concepts of what who Elohim is, how you should live with each other, and when you compare that to what they brought us in Christianity, it has become a way of, how can I explain? Okay, let me think. I lost my train of
our people
thought.
had concepts, and when you say our people, I think you believe like the natives, like the Bantu people, the Ghanaian people, the Nigerians, the people whom the Europeans colonized in Africa. Right. Our people already had concepts, like they already had a good idea, or they actually knew who Elohim was before this religion, Christianity, was brought to us. Yeah,
exactly. And so what you then see is when Christianity, or white Christianity, based on what you said, came to our country, it's not as if the people or the missionaries did not know that we already had our system in place. But I guess for them it was important to show them a different way. Like what I see is that they didn't come with complete lies, because otherwise we would notice that something is off with what these white people are bringing us. But they came with things that maybe sound the same or look similar, and then they would infiltrate and then bring their ways, mix it up with our ways. So at the moment you would think you don't see a difference, but if you go back to the core of or the essence, then you see that it's completely different of what the white people brought us. I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, surely. And like if you say that our people before the Europeans came to bring our forefathers, let's say, in slavery and to colonize them, you say our people already had concepts of Elohim. But like for a lot of people, the only knowledge that they have of the religion of their forefathers is that, for example, they were worshiping idols, and that they were worshiping river gods and mountain gods and animals and stuff like that. Is that true, or is there any truth in that statement that our forefathers were worshiping idols and actually evil spirits? That's what Christianity propagates. That's what we hear in the churches. Is there any truth in that?
I
No,
think.
okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
kijk, of course you have different like beliefs in Africa, of course, but I think that is something that they have highlighted, like to cover up the things they are doing, to bring in Christianity, so that they put in like, but they were doing evil stuff and so, but it's like more, it's something like there were like different beliefs, but they have highlighted in a certain way that it's like they were only doing that, but that was not the only thing.
So like in every country and in every nation, you have different belief systems, and you have idol work in every country. So that's not only limited to black people. But you're saying that when they came, when the Christian missionaries came, they highlighted only that part of our culture, and to use that to bring their way and their religion to us. What are other differences between Christianity, the way we use it today, or the way we how do you say that, the way we keep the faith today, the way we follow Christianity today, and the way the people of the book were following their religion?
Well, I think a big thing or sign that Elohim gave to his people was to keep feast days, for example, as a sign between him, as a covenant between him and his people. And if you look at modern day Christianity, we don't celebrate any of those feast days. We don't even keep, for example, the Sabbath, which is also often mentioned as a symbol of the covenant. That is also not kept in modern day Christianity. We have completely different feast days, but yet we do claim that is the religion of the book that we are reading, but the two don't overlap. We have Christmas, we have Easter, we have Ascension Day. We have things like that, but where can we find this in scripture? Nowhere. So,
and also even the days, the months, seasons, they have changed everything. Even the order of the week, they say the week starts Monday to Sunday, you know, all the days, the names, Monday, Sunday, worship, like everything is just wow.
And why? And like some people will then say, for example, or for many people, when you mention these things, right, and you say that, okay, like when you look at the biblical feast days, they are written or they are recorded in the Bible, where we don't keep any of them. And all the feast days that we do keep, none of them are actually written in the Bible. When you mention such things, according to many, because they have been taught like that, maybe they don't know any better. They will be like, okay, but this is let's say how do they say that we are free in Christ, for example, or there is no law in that. That's
Yeah,
those are the
there's
statements that come out, right?
Yeah,
That those
free
that
as long as
there's
you
even a
believe.
Bible verse that say, "Let no man judge you in respect to a holiday."
Oh yeah.
In the New Testament,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Some
yeah.
people will say that,
Yeah.
and they can use a verse to back that up. So, according to you, Helena, why is it then so relevant to get back to those feast days which were recorded
Yeah.
in the Old Testament?
Yeah,
Why are you trying to do that?
yeah, I think it's important because like it's something that Elohim commands to us and has given unto us to live. And I think also like keeping the feast days will also give you they say it certain no, I don't want to say power, but it does something.
Power!
Not power, but it does something to you. Like
Mm-hmm.
how Christmas can influence you in creating a certain settings, cadeautjes, etc., etc. So can also like the real feast days of Elohim can mean something to you, can do something for you in a good way instead of all the pagan feast days. So I think that's one of the things.
And also, I guess the feast days are oftentimes symbolic in the scriptures, so it can help you, yes, I would say, discern the times or seasons that you're in as well. If you erase that, it becomes a bit difficult to see what is happening, whilst the Bible's already, or whilst the scripture is already prophesying those things also through the feast days, what they mean, how to keep them. It's all symbolic. So if you remove that, then you have to guess what is coming next or what is happening.
And talking about the feast days, I think that this is also one of the ways in which many African or Bantu people have been able to see or study that the Bantus or the Negro African is really, or they are really the children of Israel. Because, for example, when you look at Ghanaian culture, I believe there are also certain feast days, I believe, that really are almost identical to what you see recorded in the scriptures. I don't know if you have ever studied that.
Not extensively.
No.
I think one is Homo, but I think that's more from the Gas as well.
The Gas, not Ghanaians.
Okay, yeah, I know, but
Oh.
yeah,
See,
I
Shalom.
know.
You say the Gas are not, jawel, they are Ghanaians.
Yeah, but she says I don't know whether it's from the Ghanaians, but the Gas
no,
have it.
like that feast,
No,
that
no, no.
feast
You
in
are
itself.
excluding Shalom.
Volgens
You are
mij de
excluding
feest of
wow.
Shalom.
I'm excluding Shalom.
Of niet?
Yeah.
Volgens mij.
So I'm looking it up. Is de, hoe noem je dat in het Nederlands noem je het oogstfeest, but the origin. Yeah. So in the Bible you have something called the feast of ingathering, right? Where they would gather all the yes, exactly. Randy said it. The feast of first fruits, right? Where you would gather all the things that you were sowing and reaping in the land, and you would bring it to the chief or the priest, and then you will have certain rituals. And then when you look at the Gan culture, I believe you also have a really similar festival called the Homoa festival.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Exactly. And you see that they are not the only tribe in Africa which celebrates similar feast days. But when you look at different African tribes, you see that many of them have a really similar feast days. For example, I think in the Ghanaian culture, there's also the Saturday is also related to Elohim, right?
Yeah.
The Saturday in Ghanaian culture, Ashanti culture, is also related to Elohim, just like the Sabbath, which is also the Saturday, is related to Elohim in the Hebrew culture.
Yeah.
Right? And so you have so many other examples scattered across the whole region of Africa where you see Bantu people having traditions which you can literally find in the book before the Europeans came to teach them about the book. So that is what made a difference for us and for me in particular. So if you guys are watching and you have questions about, you want exact traditions, you can always send us a message. We'll try to look at that. And Helena, you also mentioned something about pagan feast days. One of you mentioned that, and the minister showed a slide last week where he discussed how the Christian cross
Oh, yeah.
is related to or is found in many other pagan religions which existed before Christianity, right? So what should a person do with that information? Does it make the cross of none effect? Does it make the cross less powerful, seeing that it's being used, and it has always been used in many other pagan religions?
Yeah, I think, or let me say it like this. Yeah, because I remember there was a teaching about the cross also like last year or something, and then you realize like, oh, whoa, you know what? Because a lot of people believe in the cross alone, like not even in God or Jesus, but just in the cross, like holding the cross, going everywhere as a sign of protection. And so of course I think, yeah, if you come to the truth and realize that what the real meaning is of the cross, and that it has nothing to do with Elohim, then yeah, of course it will become less of an effect for you, for me. So what was the question?
No, like
Yeah.
for many,
Like
for
Chris.
let's say, okay, I understand what you're saying, but to
Yeah.
someone who, let's say, to someone
that
who
was it.
believes in
Oh,
that
yeah.
cross which you just mentioned,
Yeah.
right? What should that person do with this information? Was this the
That's also
information that
question.
made you put less trust or in the cross? The fact that it was connected to many other pagan religions?
And before that, before I knew even all of this, I was I found it always odd why people having the cross. I didn't really understand. So for me it wasn't really something that I believed in, so maybe that for me it was easier to accept, like, okay, that's why. But for someone who really believes in something, I think the first step is to like do research for yourself and take it step by step, because after hearing this, it's not like, okay, I'll put a cross in the put in the bag and it's over. But you for yourself, you really have to believe, like, okay, I don't want to believe in this anymore, but why? I think you need to ask yourself questions and also do research for yourself, and then taking the next step. Okay, maybe I need to remove this out of my life, and let's see what happens if I don't wear the cross, and then so further.
I have certain other questions about this, but we're heading towards the end, and I can remember that this week I had a conversation with my dad about the colonial history of the Congos, because my dad reads a lot and he also knows a lot. So I was just thinking about the Congolese Independence Day, seeing that we were talking about slavery, and the Independence Day of the Congo is the 30th of June 1960. My dad was born in 1961, right? So first of all, what that made me understand is that the slavery and the colonial history of Black people is not that far away. My grandfather was in colonial Congo, right? The Belgians were literally in the country when my grandfather was a child. And I was talking to my dad, and he told me that when he was born, his professors were white Belgians. So when we go to school, we have our teachers. His teachers were white Belgians in Congo, right? So that really made me think, because it means that when people say that the colonial history of Black people still impacts us until today, that's where I can see that it's true, because I think independence for Ghana is 3 years before that. Was it 1957?
57,
1957, right? Okay, so that also means that your grandfathers, they were also in a they were growing up in a colonial system. They were oppressed. They were the least in their own country. And for many people to then tell us that that this history is not relevant, it to me it's so crazy. If your grandfather was in that system which we are talking about, how can it not have impact on you yourself?
That's really weird. I was thinking about it whilst walking here, because my granddad was born probably 1892. Yeah,
Mhm.
so he also experienced the British still being there.
Exactly,
And,
exactly.
It's really weird. Yeah.
Exactly. So that's why I saw a clip last week of Queen Elizabeth walking together with Kwame Nkrumah in
Oh yeah, I
Ghana.
saw it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was like, how can black people support this? But to round up, my last question is: we are going to the third topic of this teaching. I'm not gonna ask what you expect of the next teaching, but thus far, what has really what really stuck with you of the teaching that we had? What was really a point which maybe got you thinking?
I guess for me, what impacted me was mostly what the brother was speaking about last week. He spoke about the many ways that during the Inquisition, like our fellow brothers and sisters were tortured.
Yeah.
You
that
would
was
read
echt-
it maybe
Yeah,
in
that
in
was
your
echt
in
erg,
your
ja.
in your history book, and it seems so far away because you're in your mind. It's like, that's the Inquisition. Oh, that's not really
Yeah.
connected to our people. But then you read the ways and the methods of which they tortured us just in order for us to give up our faith. Makes you, you can get angry, you can get frustrated, but you live in their country. So what are you exactly going to do?
You have to pay tax,
Yeah.
so take it easy. Nah, and you, Helena?
Yeah, same. Just the impact of slavery, what it has done to us. Yeah.
Yeah. And I also like, in conclusion, I also like the fact that the minister also touched a part of history which many black people are not aware of. The fact that there were blacks in Europe, in Spain, in Portugal, in France, even in the Netherlands, but we didn't touch that last week. But even in the Netherlands, there were black people who were not the lower class, but they were part of the ruling class of the country. So knowing these truths and these facts, it can really liberate your mind in a sense, and help you to change that view which you talked about in the beginning, right? Because we tend to have a negative self view and a negative view towards your own people, but receiving information like this, it makes you change the way you perceive yourself, and by changing the way you perceive yourself, it automatically changes the way you see your own brother and your own sister. So thank you guys for the teaching.
Table talk.
Thank you guys for the table talk of today.
Yes,
Thank
you.
I really found it insightful. Was a good conversation. And to the people at home, if you missed last week's teaching, you can rewatch it on YouTube or on Facebook. Today we are getting into the third topic of this theme. The theme is called Christianity, the religion of violence and control. And after a short break of 5 minutes, we'll get into the teaching with the topic manipulations. So I am excited. I don't know where we're going, but see you in a short 5 minutes. Tell a friend to tune in. See you.
The sun would no more give you daylight by day. The moon would no more give you moonlight by night. Jehovah will be your everlasting light. He'll be your glory, your strength and your sight. The light of the moon would be like the light of the sun. The light of the sun would shine 7 times as bright. When Yahweh binds up the wounds of his own, he heals all the bruises inflicted by his blows. Hallelujah, hallelujah, sight. The light of the moon be like the light of the sun. The light of the sun will shine 7 times as bright. When Yahweh binds up the wounds of his own, he heals all the bruises inflicted by his blows. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah,
This is High Radio. You're welcome to High Radio.
The sun would no more give you daylight by day. The moon would no more give you moonlight by night. Jehovah will be your everlasting light. He'll be your glory, your strength and your sight. The light of the moon will be like the light of the sun. The light of the sun will shine 7 times as bright. When Yahweh binds up the wounds of his own, he heals all the bruises inflicted by his blows. Hallelujah, 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 The sun will no more give you daylight by day. The moon will no more give you moonlight by night. Jehovah will be your everlasting light. He'll be your glory, your strength and your sight. The light of the moon will be like the light of the sun. The light of the sun will shine 7 times as bright. When Yahweh binds up the wounds of his own, he heals all the bruises inflicted by his blows. Hallelujah, hallelujah,
Shalom, shalom unto all of our viewers, listeners, wheresoever you may be found, under the sound of this voice. We thank Elohim for yet another opportunity that He has given unto the children of men to be able to still be found on this side of existence. As long as one has within him the ability to breathe in and breathe out, and as long as one has within him the ability to reason and make decisions that can alter the course of his life, there is still much hope. So we thank Abba for His mercy and compassion towards mankind, for His mercy and compassion towards both the righteous and the wicked. In doing so, He shows Himself that He is the Almighty. When things go out of control and there is chaos and disorder, He says, "Be still and know that I am Elohim, and that besides me there is none." So we bear record that there is but one Elohim, and that besides Him there is none. He is the master of all life and death. He's the sole author of the books of our lives. He is supreme king of all spirits, and He is Lord of the day of judgment. And besides Him, there is none that can happen. There is none that can speak. And there is none that can move. All happens by His request and by His permission. So that's why we say that besides Elohim, there is no other power. So in our health, we acknowledge that He is Elohim. In our sicknesses, we acknowledge that He is Elohim. When we are strong, we say we are strong because Elohim made us strong. And when we are weak, we say we are weak because He allowed it to be so. We thank Him for the courses of our lives. And we thank Him for the fact that though He is so powerful, that He did not leave Himself without a witness. But He made it so that whensoever He saw that His people would go astray, that He would always out of His own people, or out of the folk of His own people, that He would always allow a voice to come out of the people. And that voice He would use as a conduit and as a vessel of honor to bring His people back unto His own self. That is why He said that if an evil should befall a city, will not Elohim be the author of it? And if Elohim is the author of it, He will cause a lion out of the midst of that city to roar, so that the people may be warned. And these lions are the ones that we call the set-apart vessels, the anointed vessels, the prophets of old. So beginning from Adam all the way to Moses, He gave unto us instructions in the form of manuals. And then all the prophets that came after Moses, until the Messiah Himself came, the darling of heaven, the precious one, who revealed unto us the perfect plan of Elohim. And as the Messiah came, He made us a promise and said, "Lo and behold, even after my departure, the Romans will come. And when they come, they will scatter you people abroad. And when you are scattered abroad, beyond the shores and by the rivers of Babylon, there you will sit and you will weep. You will hang up your harps And you will say, we wish no more to sing the songs of Zion in captivity. So many of you, sometimes you tune in when we're speaking, and you maybe tune in for like 2 minutes max, only to peep and to catch the gist of the message. And it just so happens to be that every time you tune in, we are speaking about our ancestors, and we are speaking about slavery, and we are speaking about Babylon. And you're like, when will these people let go? But David said, should I forget Zion, then let me also forget my right hand. I don't know if the people who have this mindset, like, when will these people stop? I don't know if you took the time to carefully read the prophets. Because the Bible says, beginning from the prophets, the Messiah shewed unto them, and he opened to them their understanding. Have you maybe studied the book of the prophets? 90% of the book of the prophets is filled with warnings. A prophet is not a subject of happiness. He is a subject and a sign and a wonder for the people to pay attention. So the book of Ezekiel, warnings. Jeremiah, warnings. Isaiah, warnings. Hosea, warnings. Obadiah, pure judgment. Malachi, warnings. Zechariah, pure judgment. All of the book of the prophets are filled with warnings. So if we then come here and we say we speak based on the volume of the books, it must be about an impending danger. And the danger is we have forgotten. So Elohim, being so wise, in the book of Malachi, he said, remember the laws
of Musa.
That was his final manuscript. He said, remember ye the laws
of Moses my servant, which I commanded unto him in Horeb for all Israel, with the statutes and judgment, in Malachi 4:4.
Go ahead.
Behold, I will send you Elijah the prophet before the coming of the great and dreadful day.
Listen, it is, once you understand, it is so plain. It connects. It makes sense. He said, remember
the law of Moses my servant, which I commanded him unto all Israel. Verse 5, behold, I will send you Elijah the prophet.
And then he said, because I will send you a madman.
Before the coming.
One who does not regard the beauty of women. No one who thinks about how men perceive him. I will send you a wild man.
Before the coming of the great and dreadful day of Yah.
Before the coming of the great and dreadful day of Yah. And Eliyahu must be mad, because when he comes, homosexuality will be at a rampage. The preacher men themselves will be butties. The women will be as those who in their menstrual cycle will still bring about demons and monsters. Society as a whole will be in jeopardy. It will be in total chaos. So when Eliyahu comes, he will come in fullness. And what will he do?
And he shall turn the heart of the fathers to the children, and the heart of the children to their fathers.
Have you sat down to recognize who are the fathers? This is not Father R. Many people say that he will turn the heart of Elohim. Of course he will turn the heart of Elohim. But when he says he will turn the heart of the fathers,
plural with S,
the heart of the fathers to
the children,
meaning he will cause the people that are scattered to remember their ancestors. And he will cause them to be in unison, meaning the faith of old and the faith of new will be once again in balance. Because that is where our problem is. We that are so-called Christians, everything that is of ancient times, we reject. We have cursed out our forefathers by making statements like, yeah, our forefathers worship demons, but since we have become... Listen, That is why Eliyahu must come. Because such statements are an abomination. And that is what we are doing. Being of that order, we must restore them broken walls. We must once again bring unison between the old and our time. Because if you look far ahead, everything that is new is wicked. We find some solace in the old. There is still some sanity left in the old. There is still some wisdom left in the old. But everything that is new it's beyond our reason. It's full of madness. So, dear people, be alarmed. Be alarmed. When we're giving you these topics, don't be quick to reject. Take your time and ask yourself, why are we doing this? And the topic of today is how Christianity is used to manipulate families. It's a topic. And you will understand why. So, next slide. Because of time is always chasing me. Go ahead.
So, what is a witch?
This is, what an intro. Yeah? So, what is
A witch.
what is a witch? And I've written it down there, Exodus 22:18.
Thou shalt not suffer a witch to
Remember
live.
the topic, Christianity and how it is used to manipulate families. And I gave you the verse, Exodus 22:18, written down, thou will not suffer.
A witch to live.
Thou will not suffer.
A witch to live.
This is a Bible passage of obsession with these Negro preachers. Whenever they want fireworks in the church, whenever they want engagement from their members, whenever they want money, and whenever they want to create a sense of urgency, they never speak of judgment when it comes to the righteousness of one's soul. They always use the witches as a battery. They use the topic of witches as a topic to make sure that there is full engagement. We have to kill the witch. The witch must die. So they quote, thou will not suffer a witch to live. But at the end of today's session, we'll show you how this verse is being used and is being manipulated and is bringing about separation and confusion in many people's families. Because they said, thou shalt not suffer a witch to live. So that gives them cause in their prayer gatherings to kill witches. And it is so hypocritical. Why? Because the same Bible says that if one commits adultery, please take a stone, kill that person. When in your European churches has someone ever been killed with a stone because they committed adultery? All of a sudden then, no, let's forgive. No, it can happen. Someone can even commit adultery in the church and then stop going to the church for some months, come back, remarry in the same church. That one is allowed. But when it comes to if someone is so-called a witch, it's as if there is no mercy. And then all of a sudden, these people that love the New Testament, all of a sudden when it comes to witchcraft, they don't deal with New Testament. Why? Because their own Messiah told them, forgive your enemies.
That's right.
All of a sudden then, they're like, no, man, fire burn the New Testament because it does not align with our agenda.
Warfare.
It does not align. You cannot use the Old Testament and speak about strategic warfare. You cannot use the New Testament and say we are about to have a war night. So they don't even call it all night. It's now called war night. And because they know, no, the New Testament is too soft.
Too sweet.
So when it comes to war night, and thou will not suffer a witch to live, all of a sudden they find their fortune in the old. Just to show you, you people, you pick and choose what you like. So you are not even to be taken seriously. You pick and choose what you like. Preacher man, you manipulate the people. I'm a New Testament preacher. But when it comes to the subject of witches, thou will not suffer a witch to live. And you think that all of us are as crazy as you are. But we are watching, observing, and are like, wow. So, read.
1 Corinthians 2 from 11.
Lest
Satan should get an advantage of us.
for we
are not ignorant of his devices.
And that is his device. Pitting the old against the new. Picking and choosing. Misleading people when it comes to witches and witchcraft. But we will expose some things today. So I've written down, what are the lies
about witches in our day and time?
So lie number 1.
Flying witches in the night.
Isn't that amazing? Why do you think so many people have all nights? Because based on their reasoning and logic, because witches fly in the night, so they also must operate in the night. So like, we have to intercept the witches. So when we are praying and the witches are flying, our prayers will catch them. You don't know that all that you are proving is that you are weak. You are praying to counter the attacks of these so-called witches. But the funny thing is, all that you are doing is fantasy. You are in a room with people sweating, and you're like, I release missiles. And you have to use your imagination. So I think it would suit you to smoke some weed and then go to the all night. Because then, or maybe eat some mushrooms and then go to the all night. Because then at least when you are saying, I release missiles, you can see the missiles. Because when you are there, you're not seeing anything. You are simply using your fantasy and you're like, I release missiles. Because according to you, the witch can fly. But as for you, who claims to be a Christian filled with the Holy Ghost, you cannot fly. So, are you seeing what you're doing? Are you seeing what you are doing? The witches can fly. Why didn't your God give you the ability to fly? And if it is spiritually discerned, I have to wonder, when you people claim witches are flying in the night, I saw the prophet comes to the church, I saw your grandma. Where's your grandma? My grandma is in Benakonji. My grandma is in Congo. Okay, this night I saw her and she entered your room. You are in Europe, but your grandma, who is in Congo, who is in Suriname, who is in Ghana, she can fly in the night and then choke you whilst you are asleep in the night. But then that same grandma will call you in the afternoon and say, I'm hungry, send me money. If she can fly in the night to come to Europe, why can't she just pack all her stuff, come and migrate and live in Europe? So you see, you people are, I don't know. That's why I said smoke mushrooms, please. It will suit you because you are crazy. What a fantasy. What a fantasy. But this is what they tell you grown people in the church, and you believe it. And all of a sudden, you become so afraid of your own grandma. People, these are lies. These are Dragon Ball Z Avengers. These are lies. These are lies. And then another one, witches can eat you
spiritually.
Hey, people. Witches can eat you spiritually. Hey, people. This is what they do in the church. Or they can bring misfortune in your life. This is what they do to you. No, we have to be careful, otherwise a witch will eat you. And you believe it. And what is so funny is, when they say witches can eat you spiritually, you believe it. I don't know if you take the scriptures of Elohim into consideration. Because the Bible says that all souls are mine, saith Elohim. It is never written the soul is the devil's. Ezekiel says all souls
are mine. As the soul of the Father.
Elohim was clear. He literally said all souls are mine. And then when you read the book of Ecclesiastes, he says when the spirit dies, it goes back. So if the soul is Elohim's, and when the spirit dies, it returns to Elohim. Meaning a witch can therefore then not claim your soul, nor can it eat your spirit. So when it says witches can eat you spiritually, what are they referring to? Because then the last thing that remains is the body. But even the people that are dead, and then the stories come, yeah, they were eaten by witches. If you then take your time and you go either to the funeral or you go to the mortuary and you inspect their bodies, what you will see is nothing is missing. No finger is missing, no ear is missing, no body part, no liver, no heart. Everything is complete. So then ask yourself, people, what did the witches eat? They ate nothing. They ate nothing. But this is what they make you believe in the church. Yeah, it's almost New Year, and witches, they took some souls and they placed them in prison, and they are waiting for the 25th of December to eat your soul. So if you want to be free and if you want to be safe, make sure that the 25th, where do you have to go?
Church.
To the church. And when the prophet is ministering, what do you have to do? You have to pay. You are being manipulated. You are being fooled. You are being tricked. All these things, a bunch of lies, but you believe it. So they use fear to manipulate and control you. Lie number 3.
You can get witchcraft by eating.
People. Don't go to your grandma. Don't go to your auntie. If you eat something from your grandma, your auntie, you will become a witch. You get witchcraft. People, I have a slide for that one. So we will visit lie number 3. But these are just things I'm using for you to realize and to really sit down and consider, what do you believe in? And why do you believe such things? So we are continuing. Yeah? Witchcraft. So read the Strongs.
So this is the Strong's. You can take it from the Blue Letter Bible. It says witchcraft,
Yes.
reading from the outline of biblical usage, to practice witchcraft or sorcery.
So witchcraft, which is kasaf,
Is to practice witchcraft or sorcery.
literally means to practice witchcraft or sorcery.
Or it refers to a sorcerer or sorceresses.
Remember, witchcraft means one who practices witchcraft or sorcery.
And then the Strong's definition says to whisper a spell,
To whisper a.
spell,
To whisper a.
spell,
Uh-huh.
to enchant or practice magic.
To enchant or practice magic.
Mhm.
So you see, when we use the word witchcraft, I wrote down, it is a catch-all term.
Mhm.
A catch-all term in Dutch simply means het is een containerbegrip. It's less like in IT, the word cloud.
Mhm.
Cloud is too big. On its own, there are subsets.
Mhm.
So when you say witchcraft, it is a catch-all term for
all the evil things mankind does under the influence of evil spirits.
So witchcraft is
An catch-all term
for.
all the evil things mankind does under the influence of evil spirits.
Next slide for some examples. And it is important that you understand what it means. Otherwise, you will be fighting the wrong enemy. That is why when the Messiah came, Cephas said something to him. He looked at Cephas, but he said, "Get thee behind me."
Satan.
So he went past Cephas. Otherwise, he could have killed Cephas. But it was like, I perceive you are influenced by. So he addressed the one influencing Cephas. You must understand that. Because Cephas is not your enemy. Just like your brother is not your enemy. Your sister is not your enemy. There is something pushing him or her. And that is what needs to be addressed. So some examples of what is meant by witchcraft. So read for us. Leviticus
19 from 31.
It says, regard
not them that have familiar spirits, neither seek wizards to be defiled by them.
So he's saying, don't look upon them that have familiar spirits. Don't go and consult them that have familiar spirits. Nor
neither seek wizards
to
be defiled by them. I am Yah your Elohim.
For I am Yah your Elohim. Continue.
Leviticus 18:10. There shall not be found among you.
There will not be found in your midst
anyone,
a person
that makes his son or daughter to pass through the fire.
Go ahead.
Or that uses divination. To divine means by a spirit assisting you, you are able to foretell a coming event. Go ahead. Or an observer of times.
Or someone who observes times.
Or an enchanter.
Or someone who enchants.
Or a witch.
Go ahead.
Verse 11. Or a charmer.
Or a charmer.
Or a consulter with familiar spirits. Or a wizard. Or a necromancer.
So a wizard or a necromancer is someone who operates with the spirit of the dead. And it just so happens to be that familiar spirits are wandering spirits of the dead. So are you beginning to see a clue here? And then it says, for all that do
these things are an abomination unto Yah.
And I placed these things in red for you to understand. What are these things then? All these things are what encompasses and contains the word witchcraft. So if you are someone that chants, you are a witch. Or you are operating or you are using witchcraft. If you consult the dead, you are using witchcraft. If you make your sons pass through the fire, meaning you sacrifice your son's soul, or you miseducate your children to obey evil instead of good, because the passing through the fire, it's an analogy. You are using witchcraft. And Elohim says, all that do these things
are an abomination unto Yah.
So all these things are what is meant by the word witchcraft. Continue reading.
Galatians 5 from 19.
That was the old. Now in the new, you will read it again. Galatians 5:19.
Now the works of the flesh are manifest.
Now listen, that's why I said it is so funny that these Christians, they claim to be spiritual, but there is no spiritual discernment. That's why they can say, we release loose lightnings and fire, and they have to use their imagination and then imagine that they are killing someone. Because according to them, that witch is spiritually flying. So the witch is spiritual, you guys are physical. Prophets are like, take your sword. And the Bible says, take the sword of the Spirit. But what do these prophets now do to you? They make you go to the Action or to the Walmart, and they make you go to Alibaba Express, and they make you order a sword and bring the sword to the all night. But the Bible says, take your spiritual sword, which is the word of Yah. But as if the prophets that are so spiritual all of a sudden forget this, and they make you buy a literal sword. They themselves, they buy the biggest one, and they dress all in whites, and then they have an all night, and you see him with a physical sword, but he's killing a spiritual witch.
And then they say the weapons of our warfare are not carnal,
but mighty, made by Elohim, to the pulling down of strongholds, to the casting down of imaginations. But they take literal swords, but they kill a spiritual witch. But now the Bible is saying the works of the
flesh,
no spirit.
The works of the flesh,
No spirit.
The works of the flesh are manifest.
Why are they saying the works of the flesh are manifest? Because if they were the works of the spirit, it would not be manifest.
That's right.
He's saying the works of the flesh are manifest, meaning these behaviors are things that all men can see. So what can all men see? Read.
Adultery.
If someone commits adultery, is it spiritual?
It's very physical.
Bro, you have a wife and you slap someone else's wife. Physical. Physical. So he's saying the works of the flesh are these, meaning all men can behold. Adultery, read.
Fornication.
Is it spiritual?
Physical.
Please, you crucify someone. It's physical.
Uncleanness.
Uncleanness.
Lasciviousness.
Greed.
Idolatry.
Idolatry. You put a statue like you have of Jesus Christ in your house, like the Indians have of Buddha and Hare Krishna. You go to their houses, you see it. This is no longer spiritually discerned. It's seeable. Read.
Witchcraft.
Oh! So this one, it's spiritually discerned.
The works of the flesh are manifest.
Are manifest, meaning it can be seen.
Witchcraft.
Witchcraft, meaning if someone is using witchcraft, you should see it. That's why when the Bible said, thou will not suffer any witch to live.
To live.
How do you think the people knew? How the Shaul knew that there was a witch living in Endor? Her practices were seen. It could be seen. But now look at you and your behavior. You claim your mother is a witch, but you've never seen it. All you did is you dreamt. People, you claim your auntie in Africa is a witch. You haven't seen her for 20 years. But why do you believe that she's a witch? It is because your prophet claimed that he was in the realms of the spirit, and he made a time jump, and he went to Conakry, and he said that he saw your auntie stirring a pot, and in the pot there were bones, and in one of the bones your initials were grafted in the bone. And the prophet is like, Jesse. Who is Jesse? It's me. Oh, Jesse, you are being cooked. You are being cooked. And then you panic. You haven't seen it. Your so-called prophet, that liar, saw it. And all of a sudden, you have a warfare against your auntie. Well, Shaul said, the works of the flesh are these. These are manifest. Witchcraft. Physical activity. Read.
So the work of the flesh are manifest. Idolatry, witchcraft, hatred, variance, emulations, wrath, strife, seditions.
When someone gets angry, is it spiritual?
It's physical.
Is it spiritual? When you smash your TV, is it spiritual? Read.
Emulations, wrath, strife, seditions, heresies, envyings, murderers.
When you kill, is it? Do you kill it? Is it spiritual? Physical.
drunkenness,
When someone drinks, does he drink spiritual Heineken beer? Or is it the physical ones? Read.
revelings, and such like, of the which I tell you before, as I have told you in time past,
That they.
which do such things.
And once again, I highlighted such things in red for you. Because the same thing that Shaul is saying in Galatians is the same thing that Moses said in Leviticus. All that do such things
shall not inherit the kingdom of Yah.
So all these things, the such things that you read in Galatians and the such thing that you read in Leviticus, all these acts are what we call witchcraft. It's what Elohim sees as witchcraft. So then, when you read all of that, you will realize that many of people commit witchcraft. Many of the people commit that sin. Many people commit that sin. And just to confirm it, go to the next slide. Elohim said it himself again through the mouth of prophet Samuel. Read.
1 Samuel 15 verse 22.
And Samuel said,
Has Yah as great delight in burnt offerings and sacrifices
as
in obeying the voice of Yah? Behold, to obey is better than sacrifice, and to hearken than the fat of rams.
Verse 23, for
rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft.
So the word is means equal to. So he's telling you, when you rebel against Yah, in his eyes,
it is as
it is equal to
the sin of witchcraft.
You see, people? So when you rebel, meaning when Elohim gives you a law and you go against that law, in his eyes, it is equal to the sin
of witchcraft.
You see, people? And stubbornness
is as iniquity and idolatry.
Because
thou hast rejected the word of Yah.
So read for us in red. A witch is
someone who practices witchcraft.
And what is witchcraft?
Witchcraft is a catch-all term for all the evil things mankind does under the influence of evil spirits.
You see, people? You must understand and put emphasis on where you need to put emphasis. Because the mystery behind it is this. We focus on a witch because we can see that person. And we forget the spirit behind it. Because all operations of the devil, he copied it from the way Elohim operates. The Bible said, seeing that his children were of flesh, it was of necessity that he also took on flesh. So the enemy, seeing that the children of men are flesh, it is of necessity that he also comes and dwells in flesh. So when you are focusing on the witch, instead of the evil spirit influencing that person to commit sin, you are missing the target. You are beginning to attack a person instead of casting out the spirit. That is why when you see all the prophets of old, how many prophets do you know that focus their attention on killing witches?
0.
Except for Eliyahu the madman. But what the prophets did for predominantly was they would cast out evil spirits. They would cast out evil spirits. When the soldiers came to take the Messiah, Caiaphas took a sword and he wanted to stab the Roman soldiers and even cut off someone's ear. The Messiah said no. He said no. It's not a physical matter. When the Messiah came and there was a boy that came to him and the parents were like, this son or this child of us, he's demon possessed. The Messiah did not say, I will not suffer a witch to live, because he was the fullness of the Godhead, as the Bible says. But why did he allow the demon possessed boy to live? Rather, what he did was he cast out the evil spirit and the boy was healed. You see? So if you are focusing on the person and you are forgetting the spirit behind it, the enemy has already won. Because now he says, we wrestle not against flesh and
blood.
That's why when it comes to witchcraft, Christians run away from the New Testament. They only use the old. Shaul said, we wrestle not against flesh and blood. But when you have an all night, you say the witch must die. Is it not flesh and blood? Because the funny thing is, and they know it, when they are praying and they are saying the witch must die, ask them, who are you projecting in your mind? You are not projecting the evil spirit because you have not seen him. You see, you are projecting either your mother, your father, your brother, your aunt, your uncle. You see, I watched a movie some years ago. It's called Hashashin. Hashashin, meaning the assassin. But it seems to me that Christians nowadays have become master assassins. Many of us in our mind, we already killed our mothers. We already killed our fathers. We have already slaughtered our uncles. Some have even killed their own children. Why? Because in their mind, their child is doing them. Their mother is the enemy of their progress. So every night at midnight, she puts on soldier boots. She takes black paint. She puts it under her ears or her eyes. She puts on Jonita Bynum music. So she pumps herself up. She pumps herself up with terrific tongues of Nigerian pastors. And then she begins. I ascend to the throne room perspective. With my right hand, I take on lightning. With my left hand, I take on a thunderbolt. And I release lightning and thunderbolts. And I smite my mother.
Wow.
I smite my father. I smite my son. Every person that thinks wickedly of me, any person that wishes me evil, I assassinate them tonight by the fire and the thunder of God. And then, lo and behold, your angel then takes these prayers, and it's hot. So even your angel, it's hot. So he takes the prayers and he brings them up until, what was it? He brings them to the fifth. And as he brings them to the fifth heaven, then Michael, the prince of the excellent ones, must then come, and he takes your prayers and he brings it all the way to the seventh, and he then puts it on the altar of propitiation. So then you must report and say, great and mighty Elohim, behold, your daughter Bertha, she prayed to you, and she's glorifying you, and she's giving you command to kill her mother. So Elohim, please kill Bertha's mother, because she's the enemy of Bertha's progress. And then when these prayers come up, the judges of heaven must then quote the word of Elohim to Elohim and say, you have said, cursed be one who curseth his own mother. So the prayers of Bertha have then become an abomination. So then the same angels now come back. The same angel who brought your prayers up now comes back with a response from Michael. And Michael says, thus said Elohim, cursed be Bertha. So that angel now comes, and that angel curses you. And because your situation is getting worse, you think it's better. But you are cursing yourself. People, it is not what you think. But because of time, let us continue. Now, another lie. Witchcraft by
eating food.
This is another lie they tell you, and you know it. Niet eten bij tante. Don't eat at your family's place. Don't eat there. When you go there, sometimes you tell your children, yeah, come here. When you go there, don't eat their food. Okay? Don't eat their food. I'll beat you, don't eat their food. But yet you go there. If you won't eat, why are you going? So the Bible says, and Yah said,
even thus shall the children of Israel
eat
their defiled bread
and
among
people
the Gentiles.
eat
Their defiled bread among the Gentiles.
What do you think that means? You will eat unholy things. So Elohim already told us it would happen. You think what these people sell you is less defiled than what your so-called grandma can give you? We all eat defiled things. Why have you not become a witch before? So another verse, listen carefully. Proverbs 23 and 6.
Eat thou not.
No, eat.
Eat thou not
The bread
of him that has an evil eye.
You claim your auntie has an evil eye. You claim your mother has an evil eye. Elohim said, if you know that, he said, eat thou not
the bread of him that has an evil eye,
nor desire
thou his dainty meat.
For as he thinks,
in his heart,
so is he.
Eat and drink, saith he to thee,
But
his heart is not with thee.
And now verse 8, the morsel
which thou hast eaten shalt thou vomit up,
and lose
thy sweet words.
No, the morsel which thou eaten shall make you a witch.
The morsel which thou hast eaten shalt thou vomit up.
No, the morsel which thou eatest will make you a demon in the night.
That one thou shalt vomit up.
If you eat her jollof, you will fly in the night.
The morsel which thou hast eaten thou shalt vomit up.
People, listen, what you have to understand, we human beings, we have energy. We have power. That is why sometimes you can look, you are walking somewhere or you are in the metro or somewhere and someone is staring at you really long. And you don't know how, but it's as if you sense it. So you turn around and you see, it's as if you sense it. It's because we human beings are energy. If I don't like you and I'm preparing food and I know you are coming, I'm putting some of my negative feelings in the food. And chances are you can eat that food and be sick in the night. So if you know someone doesn't like you, just don't eat their food. But don't go around saying someone put witchcraft in the food, so when I ate it, I became a witch. It doesn't work like that. That is a lie. Because if it was true, if it was true, then go to the next slide. If it was true, go to the next slide. People, if it was true that you could become a witch by what you eat, then all of us now are master wizards. Because who hasn't eaten at McDonald's yet? Who hasn't eaten at McDonald's yet? Do you know what Edom puts in the food of Mekki? People, your fries has human hair. Your fries has human hair. What they put in the sweet chicken nuggets, just the mention of it. What they put in their booger, just the mention of it. Just the mention of it. While you can have Bible service at 7, but you are in a rush at 6. So you make a quick stop at Mekki.
Quick stop. Quick stop.
A quick. So you make a pit stop at Mekki. You don't even have time to get out. So you go through the drive-in. You order Big Mac, milkshake, extra fries, and you order a extra burger and nuggets on the side. And you're like, do you have what? And then you're like, what do you say? You're like, suits you the sound. Wow. And you're so crazy that sometimes they make a mistake, right? So instead of giving you the susu salad, they give you the barbecue salad. For you, it's like your world has ended. You're like, hey, ik haat deze mensen. Hey, dit bedoel ik, man. For Mekki. There are some people I know, if their fries are cold, they drive back. Ja, ik wil terug. Mijn patat is koud. So you can eat at Mekki. And you know, Mekki is the dwelling place of this is the Babylonian concept. So you know the devil dwells there. You know it. So we can eat at Mekki, but you don't get witchcraft. You don't get witchcraft. You eat unholy things. You go to the Chinua. You eat fried pork. You see the pork. You eat fried pork, but you don't get witchcraft. You eat shrimps. What do they call it? Hot boil. They call it hot boil. So you go to world of food. You buy hot boil. So hot boil is the plate of Satan.
Hey.
Because hot boil is like,
Wow.
yeah, hot boil is like all the sea. So it's hanala, it's kreeft, all the abominations that Elohim hates. You get it, and you pay for it. So you eat hot boil. You put some soya sauce. You eat hot boil, but you don't become a witch. Whilst Elohim explicitly said rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft, and when you are eating unclean foods, you are transgressing, but you are not a witch. You can still prophesy and everything. But when your black grandma cooks, when someone who looks like you, who's in a village, makes food, all of a sudden, did you eat from your grandma? Yes, mama. Oh, we have to go for deliverance. Why? I think you are now a witch. People, are you seeing the madness? And this is what religion has done. This is what religion has done. When your grandma is cooking, you have to be very careful. You'll be like, grandma, so she's cooking in the kitchen. You come and you stand there observing, because you are afraid that she may put something, a demonic seed, in the food. But do you know how many demonic seeds are in Mekki, are in Burger King, are at hot boil? I mean, you eat pork, man. You eat pork. But you're not a witch. But if your grandma is cooking, a nice looking lady, your mother is cooking, your auntie is cooking, your uncle is cooking, you are very careful, because chances are you can become a witch by eating. People, this also is a lie from hell. And they use it for you to become suspicious of your family members, suspicious of people who look like you. So if it was true, then as I said, all of us now would have been promoted to chief wizards. But we are not. So this is a lie. Continue. Next slide. Again, the double standard. So on the left top corner, we have Nana Kwaku Bonsam. On the left top, we have Nana Kwaku Bonsam.
Kwaku Bonsam.
When people see him, they know he is the devil incarnate. He's a spawn of Satan. He doubles in the occult. This guy, he's a wizard. He's a fetish priest. And it is true, he is. Because he publicly confessed that he is. So when the Bible says a wizard and a necromancer, these are the ones he's speaking of. Not your grandma or your auntie who hasn't done anything to you. It's all an illusion, fantasy. This guy, he publicly professed and he said, lo and behold, I am Kwaku Bonsam. But him, you're like, no, Kwaku Bonsam, he's of the devil. But then, just under him, you have Elon Musk. No one calls this guy a witch. No one calls this guy a wizard. Why? Because he's white. So he's clean. He's shaved. He puts perfume. He wears a suit. So no one calls Elon Musk a witch. But the lies Kwaku Bonsam tells you when he says, I went to Mars. Kwaku Bonsam has never seen Mars before. He's lying to you. But Elon Musk has publicly shown that he can go to Mars and come back. But no one calls him a wizard or a witch. Whilst this guy, he's a true descendant of the fallen. But because he has a European vernacular, he has a European heritage. So it's so, he's just a scientist. What we call scientists today, in ancient times were known as sorcerers. When you are ill, you're like, let me go to the drugstore. Laat me naar de drogisterij gaan. I want to get some ibuprofen and paracetamol. When you say, I want to go to the pharmacy, that word pharmacy in Greek, pharmakia, literally means sorcery. When you say, I want to go to the pharmacy, what you are saying is, I want to go and get some sorcery. I want to go to the pharmacy. Pharmacy means sorcery. And what we call science now was once upon a time known as magic. And this guy, Elon Musk, he's a head scientist, meaning he's a magician, he's a sorcerer, he's a wizard. He deals with familiar spirits, but he wears a suit. So you demonize Nana, Kwaku Bonsam, but you idolize Elon Musk. You see the double standard? And then on his right, you have Dangote, the richest man, as they say in Africa. Many of you are like, Dangote, he drinks blood. How does this guy have so much money? It's blood money. Look at our mindset. But when you look at Jeff Bezos on his right, no man, Jeff Bezos, his money is clean. He started in 1900 with Amazon. You believe the lies. In your mind, Jeff Bezos' money is clean. Why? Because he's white. Because he's white. But Dangote's money is blood money. Do you see what religion has done to you? So the black man is demonized. The black man is demonized. A black person gives you food. Oh, witch! You can become a witch. Don't eat. Don't eat from your grandma. You go to Mecca. It's fine. You go to the Chinese. You eat pork, shrimps. You're not a witch. Your grandma makes soup. You're like, hey, the soup is too deep. I can't see I don't know if it's human. You see? People, that is our mind. It's so sad. It's so sad. But that is the double standard. And that is what religion has done. It has brought about such a confusion. And we are not yet done. Next slide. The black man's
obsession with witchcraft.
People. Religion has done us a disservice. Christianity really messed up our minds. Let a prophet come and say, for the coming, we will have an we will have a conference for 3 days. We will speak about the holiness of Elohim. We will confess our sins, and we will speak about the righteousness of Elohim and how to obtain righteousness. Just a few people will come to that conference because people don't have time for that. They'll be like 3 days, I have to work, man. I love righteousness. But Elohim also said that if you don't take care of your wife, you are infidel. All of a sudden, they know what to quote. All of a sudden, they know how to quote. But let the prophet now, and the thing is, because these prophets and pastors, they are businessmen. You are their product. They need you for money. So just like what you learned in marketing, you must meet the demands of the customers. So they have studied you. And some have tried. Conference, righteousness. They check the books. Low attendance. Low attendance and even less money. They're like, okay, so that was a trial. That was a test. So let's test something else. We will announce 2 months ahead. There is a fire and lightning conference coming, and the topic is the witch must die. And the sub theme is you will get all that belongs to you. And they see that, hey, there is engagement. People are responding. And on the day of the event itself, the place is packed. They're like, wow. And after the 3 days conference, they check their account. They're like, people gave money. So what do you think they did? So all nights then became war nights. And that became the order of the day. That became the order of the day. But just think and begin to analyze what is going on. The witch must die is the theme of your conference, is the theme of your all night. So what is your focus on that day? It's witches. Elohim is not the focus. Elohim then simply becomes a tool that you use to counter the witch. So all that you focus is the witch must die. And that is the black man's obsession with witchcraft. We are so obsessed with witchcraft, sorcery, witchcraft, sorcery. Someone is doing you. Someone is doing you. If your life is not prospering, the witch did it. You lost your job, the witch did it. You can't bear children. There is a marine spirit, a mami water. There is a serpent spirit in the sea that took my eggs. You are going through a divorce. You are going through a divorce because spiritually my wife is married to a demon. You don't take any responsibility at all. But when you look at the behavior of the people of the Bible, none of them did these things. For years, Hannah could not conceive. When you read the story of Hannah, when did she accuse a witch? The Bible said, and Hannah went to the temple and she wept bitterly before Elohim. She said, Elohim, please give me a man child. If you give me one, I will give him to you and he will be a prophet. There is no mentioning of any witch. But look at you. Look at you. Elkanah, the husband, did not mistreat Hannah because she could not conceive.
But unto Hannah he gave a worthy portion.
But unto her he showed much love.
For he loved Hannah, but Yah.
No, he accused Hannah of being a witch.
He loved Hannah.
He looked at Hannah and be like, Hannah, you are an enemy of my progress. I want children.
1 Samuel 1 verse 5. He loved Hannah, but Yah had shut up her
But
womb.
look at the black man's obsession with witchcraft. And this is what is destroying our families. And the prophets, the leaders, they are so heartless. There are many people, they came to a conference together. Husband and wife, they were fine. But at the end of the conference, one went left and the other went right. Why? Because during the ministration, the prophet went into the spirit realm. And when he went into the spirit realm, as they say by astral projection, he said, in the spirit realm, I see your wife. And your wife, she is sitting on a pot. And when I saw your wife sitting on a pot, I asked her, I said, Madam? She said, yes. I said, why are you sitting on that pot? And she responded, because I had authority over her. And she responded, and she said, I am sitting on this pot because I do not want my husband to prosper. And then I commended your wife in the spirit, and I said, remove yourself from the pot. I want to see what is inside. And then she did not want to, so I released lightning. And so she went away from the pot. And when I looked inside, oh, I saw gold. And I looked. And I said, the gold belongs to you. So now I have declared that the witchcraft manipulations of your wife today, it has ended. And then the husband hears that. And then he begins to think about all his business affairs, how it all collapsed. And then he's like, my wife has done it. Oh, my wife, my own wife. And he's like, okay. And you know how we men are. We decide internally. We don't speak. We're like. So after the church service, the drive home is a quiet drive. All of a sudden, he puts no music. It's quiet in the car. He parks the car. He takes a shower. Normally he eats. So the wife goes to the kitchen, puts food on the table. After the shower, she sees that the husband didn't eat. He just went to sleep. He goes and he sleeps. In the morning, he wakes up. The wife is like, he's going to work. He takes his things. He goes. One day, in the evening, normally your husband comes back at 4. The guy's not coming. The woman takes the telephone. She calls. No answer. She calls again. Voicemail. The night passes. The next day, 2 days, 3 days. All of a sudden, the husband calls her. She's like, honey, where were you? Ah. And he's like, what do you say? Honey, why? He's like, so now I'm honey. When you were taking my gold spiritually, you didn't call me honey then. So now I'm your honey. You are a witch. And I just wanted to tell you that I want a divorce. I will not live with a witch. So in 2 days' time, I'm going to come. I'm going to get my stuff. And I never want to see you again. So then, a family is destroyed. Why? Because a crazy, uneducated monkey preacher lied to you. And now a family destroyed because of so-called witchcraft. And this is what happens to so many families. They go to the church as one, but because of the church, Now the family is separated. And what you don't understand, they are using these scare tactics to get more people coming. And just when you think that maybe I'm exaggerating, it is a lie. Next slide. 10 minutes, we're done. Next slide. So Arike, what do you read there?
Forced, so these people are forced to live out of their lives in squalor.
Squalor.
The women of Ghana sent to witches' camps
By
superstitious villagers.
Do you see? All these people, they are my grandma. They are your grandma. They can be your mother. But what has made them to become outcasts of society? What made the people superstitious if it is not the church? So there are some people living in this world that are so brainwashed that they can believe a crazy prophet who says your mother is the cause of your misfortune. You don't have children, it's because your mother, every time you conceive, she eats the child in the night. You don't have money, it's because your grandma in the village, every time you're about to get a breakthrough, she kills that seed in the night. Your marriage is not working out, it is because your grandma has spiritual relations with your husband. And then because your heart is so cold, you are so wicked, you're like, yeah man, it's my Oma. So then these poor women, they are sent out of their families by their own family members, and most of the time their daughters are the one. That's why you often see it begins very small, but it always begins. The daughter hits an age 21, 22. First relationship failed, second relationship failed, and it's failed because when she was 16, 17, 18, she was sleeping around, bouncing around, prostituting herself. Now she's 21, 22, 23. Boyfriend comes, he sees you are loose, so he plays with you for 6 months, and then all of a sudden he bounces. Boyfriend number 2 bounces. Now you are 26, 27. It's not working out. And of course, because your mother, she's concerned, so she begins to speak out. My daughter, why this, why that? So you begin to have arguments with your mother. And then when things fail, you're now 30. Now in your mind, who do you blame? You look around, you're like, my mother heeft mijn leven verpest. My mother has done it. And then because you are so desperate yet wicked, but you still want a husband, where do you go?
The church.
You go to the church. And when you go to the church, it just so happens to be that your son of man is a smooth boy. And that smooth boy doesn't have a job. So when you come by, he's like, jackpot. So he looks at you, he analyzes you, quick. He stares, okay, she's dressed nice. From the look of her eyes, she's a bit old. She's desperate. Because I can see her eyes, she's looking, she's desperate. So when it is time to prophesy, what do you think that monkey Negro will do to you? He will play ping pong with you. He will be like, so he will test the ground. There is someone here. She has tried so often. But every time she gets engaged, she's about to get married. A demon intervenes. And then he speaks in tongues, and whilst he's doing it, he's looking. And he's like, if it is you, I can see the hand of God. It is coming upon you. You are shaking. It's programming. And when he's saying that, you are so vulnerable. So what do? Especially if you are a lady, you begin to shake. You just shake. And when you shake, he's like, jackpot. Then, he begins to tell you stories. I see your mother. She's doing this. She's doing this. And I said, Jackie, don't. It's your daughter. She was like, no. And then when you get home, guess what you do? So in your heart then, you are done with your own mother. So every all night you go to the prophet. And every time you go, you give him money. And it comes to a point where you don't have money anymore. But what do you give him then? You give him this. So he somersaults on you, he jumps on you, he bounces on you, and he still blames your mother. So every all night, I kill my mother. Everyone that is an enemy of my progress in my family, my brothers, my sisters, all those who hate me, it is written, I will not suffer a wish to live. So therefore, by the authority of God, I take the sword of the Spirit and I kill them. And this is your prayer every day. So then, not realizing that witchcraft is enchantment, you don't understand that you now have become the witch. You now have become the witch. You have become a tree that has grown. Now every negative energy you release, spirits behind it, they execute. So now you are now assassinating and you are killing your own mother. But the Bible says in Leviticus, for everyone
that curseth his father or his mother
shall
be surely put to death.
He
that curseth his father or his mother, his blood shall be upon him.
But look at these women. Their own children, their own family members drove them out of society because their pastor said that they are witches. And they believed it. And what is so crazy is your mother that bore you for 9 months did not kill you during that time, but she went through the pain and agony. She raised you, fed you, and allowed you to grow until you are 30, and that is when she decided to destroy your life. What did she gain? And what is so sad is she's poorer now than she was then. So in destroying your life, what did she gain? You see the nonsense. So now you are cursing your mother, you are killing your father. Why? Religion told you that witches are destroying you. That witches are destroying you. It's a sad story. I think 2 more slides, then we're done. 5 minutes, then we're done. Next one.
Wow. In 2009.
This is a sad story, people. This is so sad. Look at the picture left. This is a boy, in Nigeria. He was declared to be a witch. People. And that's why I despise Christianity with my entire being. It's the purest form of mind control. Look at this. Even a religion as mad as Buddhism cannot do this. This is what Christianity does. A boy, but he's declared to be a witch. And listen, I am as they say, témoin oculaire. It has also happened to me. My mother hates it when I tell this story, but she knows. It was years back, I was around 12 in the church. I was going to our local church. A prophet came. I won't mention his name, but they are twins. A light-skinned one. He came to the church. And as he came to the church, it was in the night. We were having all night. And then he had a prophetic intervention. So he called all the families to come up front and all the children to come up front. And then he began to prophesy. And of all the 15 children, he declared at least 7 of the children to have the witchcraft seed in them. And one of the children that he picked out was me. So then he said, all these children are witches. So then wow. The parents were afraid. So he then made appointments to visit every house. So on a certain day in the evening, he came to my house. Innocent boy, 12. But you saw like your mother's all of a sudden behaving strange. She's like, iemand gaat langskomen. When he comes by, just be calm. Just tell him the truth. Don't lie. Just tell him the truth. I didn't understand. So then the prophet brought me into a room. No one was allowed to enter there. Just me and him. He sat right across from me and he began to ask me stuff. Where did you fly?
No.
Angels are my witness.
Wow.
And he was like,
wow.
Where did you fly?
Wow.
He was like, where do you fly? How do you fly? And I didn't know what he was doing, so I became a bit frustrated. So then I closed the palms of my hand, and he was like, you see, that's a sign. You are holding your powers. I didn't know what was going on. So then he called my father and my mother, and he began to explain, this child has evil intentions. This child is this. He flies. So, and then my mother, my mother began to cry. She began to cry. Prophet, what shall we do? But luckily for me, my father was around. So when he looked at what was going on, he said, this is a lie. He said, I know my own son. This is not true. So then the prophet saw that my father didn't believe him. Said, well, okay, I'll come back another time. And then when all of them left, even my own mother wouldn't speak to me because she was afraid. So my father came to me in the morning. He was like, hey, all this stuff is not true. Dress yourself, go to school, live your life. I don't believe them. So my father came to my rescue because I was accused of being a witch. I still know the guy. I know the guy. And he didn't only do it to me. Go and ask Apoka. It was around the same time. He accused so many people. Go and ask Apoka. And go and ask the other children. He accused all of them that they had witchcraft seed. That's why I'm telling you people, when we're talking about this stuff, it seems as a joke, but this is what religion does. And guess what that guy did? When he did all that operations, he then asked for what? Offering. So people gave him money. And when people gave him money, he said, I will come back next week. Elohim be my witness. He left. He left. He just took flight. He left. They are twins. Smooth guys. Married, remarried. That's why we are telling you. So look at this guy. Look at this boy. He's not even 2 or 3. The boy can't even fend for himself. But he was accused of being a witch. So what did his family do? They cast him out. So an Edomite came, began to feed him. So I can read the story.
In 2009, campaigners against the practice reported around 15,000 children were accused of witchcraft in 2 of Nigeria's 36 states over a decade, and around 1,000 had been murdered. It's a growing problem in the country.
Where do you think they get the audacity from to kill these children? When your prophet is saying, thou will not suffer witch to die. These are demons. These children are the enemy of your progress, and you are starving. You look for someone to blame. So the Edomite woman came, took the boy, and looked at months later. Look at the picture on the right. Does that look like a witch to you? You see the pants? The boy is evolving. Red pants. He's trying. He's trying. But he was accused of being a witch. Where does this come from? It is your religion. It is your religion and its obsession with witchcraft. How can such a boy be a witch? But that's what they do to you. Next slide.
This is an article that says how Nigeria's fear of child witchcraft ruins young lives.
So you see the boys there? If my father was weak, and if the fathers of all the other families were weak, then you would see your own family begins to turn against you. Something breaks in the house.
With you.
It's my son. She gets fired from the job. My son cursed me in the night. She can't sleep. My son. And then because your mind and your brain work together, when you sleep in fear, you get nightmares. And oh, the devil is so tricky. What will he do then? He will then infiltrate you when you are afraid in your sleep, and then he will take on my face. And then he will stroke you. And then when you wake up, you have evidence. You have undeniable and infallible proof that Shambui is the witch. So then you will be rejected, especially if you're in Africa. If your family rejects you, where will you go? You begin living on the streets. You begin smoking, drinking. You become an armed robber. And then that prophecy becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. You never were one to be with, to start with. But because of what happened to you, now you stray on the evil path. And when they look at you, they're like, you see, we were right. So people, this is what religion, this is what Christianity has done to so many families. Family members don't speak against each other anymore. Mother against father, son against parents, daughter against mother, because they are accusing each other of being witches. So is there no remedy? Last slide. Last slide. Remedy.
This is Galatians chapter 5 from 19. If you cannot read it well, try to open it in your own Bible. Galatians 5:19. Now the works of the flesh are manifest.
These are the sins that mankind commits.
Which are these?
Which are these?
Adultery.
Adultery.
Fornication.
You commit for adultery, but people don't kill you. In the churches, they forgive you. Go ahead.
Fornication.
Fornication, you do it. Men does not kill you. They forgive you. Go ahead.
Uncleanness.
You commit uncleanness, masturbation and stuff. People don't kill you. They forgive you.
Lasciviousness.
You are uncontrollable in your urges. They take you to an off-click clinic when you have drugs problem, alcohol problems. Men forgive you and still show love.
Idolatry.
You have idols. Men forgive you.
Witchcraft.
But it seems when it comes to this one, people don't forgive you. But they want you dead. Continue reading.
Hatred.
Hatred.
Variance. Emulations. Wrath and strife. Seditions. Heresies. Envyings. Murders. Drunkenness. Revellings and such like. Of the which I tell you before, as I've also told you in time past, that they which do such things shall not inherit the kingdom of Yah.
Now read 1 Corinthians 6:11. It says,
and such were some of you.
You see, some committed adultery, some committed fornication, some had uncontrollable urges, some were envious, some committed murder, including abortion. This is what people forget. All these things we have done, some have done. So he says, and such were some of you. But what happened?
But ye are washed.
But now you are washed. It seems as if all the other things men can be washed off. But oh, witchcraft, the witch must die. Read.
But ye are washed, but ye are set apart, but ye are justified in the name of the Master Yahushua.
Continue.
And by the Spirit of our Elohim.
Read.
Luke 6:26.
But
I say unto you which hear, love your enemies.
No, hate them.
Love your enemies.
The witch must die.
Love your enemies.
Hate your mother.
Love your
hate
enemies.
Your father.
Love your enemies.
Hate your children.
Love your enemies. And do good to them which hate you.
So if if you can apply this text, how can you have an all night called The Witch Must Die? Why won't you give that person room if what you are claiming is true? And if you claim to have the power of Elohim, why is your Elohim not protecting you? Why is he not putting a shield around you? Why do you have to go about and trespass the laws of that same Elohim so that that same Elohim can protect you? If you are stronger than a witch, if your Elohim is stronger than a witch and you are living righteous, how can a witch then cause your business to collapse? Are you saying there is another power besides Elohim? Job said, blessed be Elohim. Elohim takes and Elohim gives. Whilst the Bible clearly said it was Elohim that gave Satan permission to touch Job. So how is it in your case? If it is Elohim that gives Satan permission to touch your life, why are you directly going against a family member and not to Elohim and ask him, Elohim, why is this happening to me? So people, we have lost focus. We are in direct transgression of the laws of Elohim because we are killing family members. We are divorcing families, all because of witchcraft obsession in the church. And the pastors and the prophets are at the head. They are destroying all the families with their talks of witchcraft and demons, and all of that is just to get in your pocket and get your money and make sure that you remain afraid. Because when you are afraid, they know you will come to the church. And when you come to the church, you will give them money. So read.
Bless them that curse you and pray for them which despitefully use you.
The witch must die. Read.
Exodus 20 from verse 12. Honor thy father and thy mother.
The witch must die, even if it is my mother. I don't care.
Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which Yah thy Elohim gives thee. Thou shalt not murder, and thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor.
That person you are calling a witch, you haven't even seen it. So do you see how many laws you are breaking in this activity? So people, please, for the sake of your own heart, your own conscience, your own health, and your own sanity, stop this nonsense. Forget witches, witchcraft, enemies of your progress. You are the only enemy of your own progress. If someone stands against you, it is Elohim, and if someone is for you, it is Elohim. Put in your mind that whenever you have an issue, go and seek Elohim. Ask him, my life is not going well. Be like Hannah and say, where have I offended? If I have offended, show me my hidden sins so that I may amend my ways. And if you are sincere, Elohim will make a way for you. And it will not be by killing witches. So these are the words, dear people. Make sure you love your family. Make sure you tell your mother you love her. Make sure you show respect to your father. Show love to your brothers and sisters. And by doing that, maybe you can bring them over to righteousness. And if not, for your own conscience sake. These are the words. Shalom.
This is the end of today's episode. This is the end of the teaching of today. It was a teaching, which might have really impacted you, because this is a story which the minister has told, which is not foreign. Many of the people who live in households where they go to church or any other assembly might have seen this happen, and the effects to their nephews, their brothers, their friends, or someone who they know. So tell a friend to tune in. This is the hour of restoration, touching the theme by the name of Christianity, the religion of control and violence. And today's topic is called the manipulations, and we looked at the manipulations of families, of youths, of how they manipulate and play with your mind. Next week we'll touch the concluding topic of this theme. Keep an eye on our social media on Instagram and on Facebook to be updated on what the topic will be. If you have a question, if you have a contribution, or if you want to share something similar, know that you can send us a message on Facebook or on Instagram, and I'll try to make room for that during the show. This is the Hour of Restoration. Next week we'll be here again, same time, same place, Saturday from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Have a wonderful Shabbat. Shabbat Shalom.
In all things, I will give you praise. Hey, in all things, I will shout for joy. In all things, my heart will rejoice in you, Jesus. For you are working, always working in my favor. In all things, I will give you praise, Lord. In all things, I will shout for joy. In all things, oh, my heart will rejoice in you, Jesus. 'Cause you are working, always working in my favor. He make you, he make you. There's a room again, he make you. He make you, he make you. There's a room again, he make you. He make you, he make you. I didn't do it, make you. He make you, there's a room again, he make you. He make you, he make you. He make you, he make you. He make you, he make you. There's a room again, he make you. Who separates me from your love? No height, no depth, no fear or condemnation. Not my past, not my present, or even things to come. My heart will rejoice in you. Oh, I will be glad, will be glad in you. No matter what comes my way, no matter the circumstance, oh, I will be glad in you. I will be glad in you. He make you, as you make he make you, he make you, he make you, he make you. I didn't do it, make you, daddy mo. He make you, as you make he make you. He make you, he make you. I didn't do it, make you, yeah, yeah, Eat it, eat it, eat it, eat it. He make you, he make you, as you make he make you. He make you, he make you.